it feels really helpful to land back together in these weeks when we come back to the holding environment, when we explore again, right? How do we set up this practice? How do we keep it simple? What are the supports and friends that we need along the way to kind of steady ourselves, to settle in, to sustain our practice? Knowing that often we can't just kind of drop in and just be mindful, right? We need a way in and we need a way back often to that inner spaciousness. So the holding environment really helps us stabilize and steady, to gather and unify the attention, mind, body, so that we really can be with things as they are, so that we can see and investigate. And Lori gave a beautiful talk about the connection between the outer external environment and the inner environment, how when things are really tough and difficult to be with here, we can start out here. Yeah, we can bring some attention to that, knowing that it will have an impact here. There's a connection. And I was thinking about how Jay often, when she's setting up the holding environment with us, she invites us to bring in a beneficial presence or a benefactor, someone who wishes us well and brings that feeling of being cared for and held. And all of us focus on the body, right? So connected to Susan when we establish the holding environment as a way to settle in and ground ourselves, that first foundation of mindfulness. So all of these are tools, really important tools that we're getting familiar with. And I wanted to talk about how we can also use thoughts, use words to support that steadying as well, and the establishment of the holding environment. And we already do. We do this kind of probably all the time, but I wanted to name it a little because many people get the message, and even I can sometimes have it somewhere in there, that meditation is about stopping thoughts or not thinking or emptying the mind. And we know this is not true, that we can use our thoughts in a supportive way. Meditation teacher Kitty Sorrow says it this way. I like this. He says, many meditators hopelessly battle away, making thought an adversary that has to be squashed. However, this is unrealistic. Thoughts move like flocks of birds. They can't be eliminated or controlled through aversion. Actually, he says, thought that is guided by wisdom and awareness is a great ally. We can guide the attention with a quiet thought like, be aware of the body, or mindfully I breathe in, mindfully I breathe out. Attention follows thought. I love this. It's so clear and simple that attention follows thought, and thought that's guided by wisdom and awareness can be an ally to us, a friend. And the Buddha talks about this a little bit in a sutta. He says, there is the case where unskillful thoughts arise in a monk while he is referring to and attending to a particular theme. So unskillful thoughts, maybe while he's thinking or practicing. He should attend to another theme apart from that one, connected with what is skillful. He should attend to another theme apart from that one, connected with what is skillful. Again, this feels so simple, this compassionate practice, meeting ourselves where we are, using the mind to support that. Because my experience is that we need these handholds, lifelines, or a raft to kind of support us and help us come back, because we're training the mind gently and kindly. So I really appreciate this idea of befriending the mind, having it be an ally. And in the sutta, the Buddha identifies two kinds of thoughts that can be supportive in this, especially in the beginning stages of the practice, as we steady the mind, kind of become a bit more concentrated, or just in the practice itself. And that's Vitakka and Vichara. And I had talked about this a little bit before, but I wanted to expand it a little bit. So Vitakka is directed or applied thought, right? Directs our attention to something a bit more skillful. So it could be bringing the mind back to the focus of the anchor, breathing, sitting, hearing. Could be gentle phrases as a way to establish or reconnect to the holding environment. Really a way to kind of remember and remind ourselves, focus the mind to what's going to be a little more supportive. Could be naming what's happening. Oh, planning, worrying, and seeing that often kind of shifts things. And vichara is that sustained and receptive thought. So as vitakka directs the mind, vichara kind of stays there and receives that. So you can hear that kind of dance, right? This like, oh, using the mind to kind of go, oh, wait, let's come over here. This is a little more skillful. And then receiving that, okay, here I am. Let me hang out here a bit and steady. There's that balance. And so these are tools. And Vitakka may not always be a phrase or words, but I wanted to share some that might be helpful and that you might already be familiar with. Things like calm abiding, come back to the body, a posture of caring attention. We use that a lot as we set up the holding environment, orient to a posture of caring attention. Breathing in, breathing out can help bring and settle the mind to that. Let be or let go. Hey, buddy, which is what Bill uses often, that kind of like, oh, hey, buddy, hey, buddy. And even a gentle question like, how is it now? Can direct the mind back to awareness and presence. Kitty Sorrow often talks about one that he was taught and practiced a lot, bu-do. So bud on the in-breath and do on the out-breath. And it means awake, which I think is just such a beautiful way to kind of direct and settle the mind and receive that. I was sharing some thoughts about this talk with my parents, who are also meditators. And my dad, his face just lit up and he said, oh, Budo, I learned that more than a decade ago. I use that all the time. And it was like he was talking about this old friend, oh, Budo, my old friend, helps me so much. And Susan's beautiful phrases, ground, breathe, upright, at ease. I probably use that every single day as I set up the holding environment and begin the practice. And sometimes I spend the whole meditation with that. Ground, breathe, upright, at ease. Or if things are really kind of turbulent inside, I might kind of lean on her other one, ground, breathe, calm, settle, soothe. So these are these ways, these tools, kind of like fingers pointing at the moon or rafts that can hold us and support us. And because they're tools in that way, when we no longer need them, we can let them go, right? We don't hold on to the raft, but they're there. And really helpful, especially when the hindrances are strong. I had an experience recently, and it's really brief, but it hit me. And it wasn't when I was on the cushion. It was one of those middle of the night kind of mind just going its own way experiences where I had made some decisions to withdraw from some trainings that might happen in the coming year. Just kind of withdrew my applications, and I was actually feeling pretty good about it. Like, that was wise. That's good. This is good. And then middle of the night, my mind no longer thought it was wise. It was just, what did you do? These are opportunities. Did I make the right decision? And just really trying to figure it out. Was it right to do that? Should I try to sign up again? Back and forth and back and forth. Just really unskillful thought. And I'm not saying that judgmentally, I was just totally caught trying to figure it out. And there was this moment where it felt like the holding environment kind of came up to meet me. And I was able to just see that that was happening and to name it. The mind just kind of helped me. This is doubt. This is doubt. I see you. Oh, this is really hard. I'm really hooked. And it's not like then it poof went away. It was still there, but there was just a little bit, the mind was acknowledging it. I could feel the reminders of, can I breathe with this? Can I settle and soothe with this? And there was a little bit more space, a little bit more skillful means. And so when we're in doubt or restlessness or sleepiness or aversion, what helps bring you back? Not out of aversion, not out of hatred, but just that skillfulness of, I need a little lifeline. I need to bring my attention somewhere. So Vitaka and Vichara can help us with this, can be our way into the practice itself, establishing the holding environment, or we can just use it throughout the practice. I think about, I shared this quote before, but I really like it. Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj said, use your mind to know your mind. It is the best preparation for going beyond the mind. And I was thinking about it and just like, okay, Kath, like, you're not beyond the mind. Maybe in moments I've had that experience, long retreats of kind of just being, it's hard to even say the words beyond the mind, but really most of my day-to-day practice, I want to make my mind an ally and help me to befriend the mind and steady the mind, hold and gather it. So I wanted to end with a really short poem. How do you cross the flood? You cross calmly, one step at a time, feeling for stones. How do you cross the flood, my heart? You cross calmly, one step at a time, or not at all. So thank you for your attention and listening.